My doctor told me this herbal tea was better for high blood pressure than any prescription that he could write. Now, my doctor told me that this herbal tea is better for blood pressure than any prescription that he could write. But even though I'm an herbalist, I really don't like drinking herbal tea. And you'd have to, really to be effective, you'd have to drink it probably 3 to 5 times a day. So what am I going to do? I'm going to make an herbal glycerite out of this. Then I can easily take a teaspoon of it three times or so a day. The first thing I'm going to do is make my glycerin mixture. Now, you don't use glycerin straight, and you want to make sure it's vegetable glycerin and it's food grade. It has to be mixed with water. Now, because I'm using dried herbs, I'm going to use a 60-40 ratio. Now, I've got 12 ounces of water that I boiled for 15 minutes, and it was, you need to use distilled water. Now, if all you have is your home water, that's okay, but distilled water is going to be much better. Now, to this 12 ounces of boiled water, I'm adding my 8 ounces of glycerin. Then I'm just going to give it a really good stir. And I probably want to stir this a good 2 minutes to make sure it's thoroughly incorporated. Now, the ratio for dried herbs is 60% glycerin, 40% water. Now, this recipe, I'm using 12 ounces of glycerin to 8 ounces of water. Now, the ratio for fresh herbs would be 70% glycerin and 30% water. And the recipe would be 14 ounces of glycerin to 6 ounces of water. Okay, the typical ratio for making any kind of herbal tincture, whether it's vinegar or glycerites or alcohol, if you're using dried herbs, you're using a 1-to-5 ratio. So I'm going to weigh up 1 ounce of these dried hibiscus flowers, but I'm measuring 5 ounces of my glycerin water mixture. Okay, now I've got my 1 ounce of hibiscus flowers weighed up. And I could, crush it with my fingers, or I could use a mortar and pestle. But what really makes a tincture more effective is small pieces. Now, you don't want to powder it because it makes it too hard to strain. But I'm going to use my Hamilton Beach coffee grinder or herb grinder. I might be able to get the whole ounce in here. Let's see. Now what I really like about this grinder is the basket comes out. Look how easy that is. Put it in there. Makes it easy to wash this or wipe it out, whatever I'm going to do. Now to this, I'm going to add my 5 ounces of my glycerin water mixture. Just give that a stir. Now, at this point, I could let it sit 4 to 6 weeks, shake it every day, but I'm in a hurry. I want to use this tonight. So I'm going to use the sealed simmer glycerite method. So just stay with me while I get everything together. Okay, now doing a sealed simmer glycerite is much like canning. Now I do have a water bath canner, so that's easy for me to have one. But if you don't have a water bath canner, it's really simply a pan that has a tight fitting lid that you can put your jars in and cover the jar with water. You just have a regular pan that you can put maybe a basket into or a rack in. And like this small jar would fit in this pan, I could still fill it with water. Now for this particular pan, these jars are too tall and I cannot. But this I can just put it in, cover the jar with water, put a lid on it, and there I've got my water bath. But for what I'm doing today, I doubled the recipe and have these pint canning jars. And I'm just going to put them here in my water bath canner, lower it down into the water. Then add enough water that the top of it is filled. I'm going to put the lid on, bring it to a rolling boil, and that's where the water is really boiling hot. You'll have steam coming out, and I'm going to process it for 15 minutes. Now, I really like this New Wave kitchen top because it really brings the water up to a boil a lot quicker than what your regular stove would. And I can just leave it here, not mess up my kitchen stove. So we'll get started on this and then I'll show you. Okay, now my hibiscus glycerite has boiled for 15 minutes. I'm ready to take it out of my canner. Now something that's really important when you're working with these canners is to get one of these bottle lifters. Now you can try and do it with a jar, with a knife or fork or spoon or whatever, but it's really so much better if you have these jar lifters. Now I'm going to lift it up like that. Take it out. Now these are really, really hot and you just do not want to try and handle them at this stage. I'm going to let these cool off for 30 minutes or maybe even an hour, and then I'm going to strain them and put them into a jar or a dark colored bottle. Okay, now these are still a little warm, but they're okay to handle, and it's really when you want to strain these, you want these a little warm because they'll strain better. If you wait until they're cold, you're really going to have a hard time straining them. So I really like using these disposable coffee filters, but reusable coffee filters, but you can certainly use cheesecloth, a jelly bag, whatever you want to use. Now with that, I do want to caution you, your fingers will be red, your table's going to be red, anything you use is going to turn it red or purple, so you need to be really careful with this. Now I'll probably let this set overnight just so I can get as much out of it as I can. But in the meantime, just to kind of show you, I'm going to put it in this dark colored bottle. You could certainly keep it in a jar, but jars are really hard to pour from. And then I'm going to mark it with hibiscus glycerin. Then I'm going to take this 3 to 5 times a day. Then when I kind of monitor my blood pressure and it looks like where it's going to be, I might go back to 1 or 2 times a day and then just kind of keep monitoring it. I mean, really, you've got to take an herb. Like if you're doing your blood pressure, you're really going to need to take it at least 3 weeks for it to really give you a true reading.
Please, please do not get off your current medication without consulting your doctor. You and your doctor should devise a plan for adding hibiscus to your high blood pressure plan. And also, these studies were for mild hypertension. I'm not a doctor. This is not to be taken as medical advice and is for informational purpose only. Thank you so much for joining me today. And if you enjoy these videos, please like, subscribe, and share. We are a small family farm and we need your support to continue to make these videos and share natural healing remedies. Visit me at familyguidetoherbs.com. Now my channel name on YouTube is Carolyn Gibson, Herbalist.